All right, so are you ready to dive into A Court of Mist and Fury? We're talking about the sequel that's got everyone buzzing. Is it worth the hype? Is it worth your time? That's what we're here to figure out today.
And let me tell you, right off the bat, if you want a fun escape, a strong female lead, and yeah, some seriously scorching romance, A Court of Mist and Fury delivers. It's a huge step up from the first book.
Okay, no holding back. I like it. But, a lot of us really, really love Tamlin in A Court of Thorns and Roses. And the reviews I've seen about him in this sequel, intense doesn't even begin to describe it. Some people are calling it a straight-up betrayal. What's the deal? What happened to our boy Tamlin?
Well, A Court of Mist and Fury takes us deep into the aftermath of trauma, how it impacts relationships. It's not just about good versus bad anymore. It's about how the people we think we know can change. And not always in ways we expect.
So it's not as simple as good guy turns bad.
Nope, not even close. If you think back to Tamlin, even in book one, I mean, he was always protective, totally. But looking back, there were hints of possessiveness even before Feyre went under the mountain.
Yeah, okay.
Remember how he insisted on keeping her sheltered? Controlling where she went and who she saw? It's almost like Sarah J. Maas was giving us these little hints, these little seeds of doubt right from the start.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. But for those of us who are Team Tamlin, this change in him feels jarring, to say the least. Is this something Maz does a lot, this whole switching up the love interest thing?
She's definitely done it before. You think about Kael and Dorian in the Throne of Glass series, she's not afraid to shake things up. Show us how people evolve and relationships change in ways you just don't see coming. And with Tamlin, it goes beyond just a change of heart. I mean, she really dives into the realities of PTSD, how trauma can lead to unhealthy behavior, even in someone we thought was a hero.
That's a really good point, but I've also seen a lot of people saying that Feyre's trauma is front and center and Tamlin's is kind of glossed over. Is that a fair criticism?
I think it's a valid point. The book definitely focuses on Feyre's healing journey. And Tamlin's struggles, while they're there, they aren't explored as deeply. But you know what? That kind of mirrors real life. Sometimes we get so caught up in our own pain that we miss what's going on with the people around us.
Yeah, that's true. So A Court of Mist and Fury is really more about Feyre's perspective, how she's processing everything.
Exactly. It's her story, her journey of self-discovery and empowerment, and her growth in this book. Phenomenal.
The reviews I've seen are raving about Feyre's transformation. She goes from this kind of passive damsel to a total powerhouse.
Absolutely. There's this scene where she's comforting Rhysand during a nightmare. In the first book, she's terrified, dependent, and now she's the strong one offering comfort and strength. Talk about a role reversal. And then later when she says, I was not a pet, not a doll, not an animal, I was a survivor and I was strong. I mean, chills. It's like a battle cry for anyone who's ever been underestimated or silenced.
I love those lines. It sounds like Moss is speaking directly to readers who want strong female characters who break the mold. Those who forge their own path.
100%. This book resonates with readers who want to see women embracing their power, taking charge of their destinies, and finding their voices.
It's like even the setting changes to reflect Feyre's transformation. The Spring Court, it was so enchanting in the first book, but here it almost feels oppressive.
Right. It becomes a reflection of Tamlin's controlling behavior. Those walls are literally closing in on Feyre, symbolizing her entrapment. But then we get to the Night Court, and wow, it's like this breath of fresh air.
Velaris. Their city. I've heard so much about it. What makes it so special?
One reviewer described it as a city carved from starlight and dreams. It's vibrant, diverse, full of life. Such a stark contrast to that stifling atmosphere of the Spring Court. Velaris represents freedom, acceptance, and the power of being your true self. That's where Feyre truly blossoms. She finds these hidden talents in a community that celebrates her for who she is.
And of course, we can't talk about A Court of Mist and Fury without talking about Rhysand. I'll be honest, I was totally skeptical about the whole love interest switch, but I gotta admit, he's got something. What is it about him that makes readers swoon?
It's more than just the brooding bad boy thing. Rhysand is complex, layered, flawed. We see his vulnerability, the scars he carries, the sacrifices he's made for his people. He's a leader, a warrior, but also a protector, and surprisingly, a really supportive partner for Sire. He challenges her, encourages her independence, and respects her boundaries in a way that Tamlin just never did.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal, but what about the whole mate thing? Some readers find it a bit cliche, like it's a shortcut to a real relationship.
Yeah. It's a common trope in fantasy romance, for sure. But in this book, it's more than just instant fireworks. Rhysand and Feyre, they build a foundation of trust and understanding long before that bond is revealed. They share their deepest secrets, their vulnerabilities. Remember that scene where Rhysand opens up to Feyre about his childhood trauma. He lets himself be vulnerable with her, and that's not something you see very often from these powerful male characters.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not just physical, it's about a deep emotional connection.
Hmm.
But we do have to talk about the thing that happened in the first book, Rysand's actions towards Feyre. He was manipulative, controlling, and that scene under the mountain. How does the book handle that?
It's addressed head on, and it's actually a really crucial part of Rysand's redemption arc. He owns up to his past behavior, expresses remorse, and actively works to make amends. It's not just a quick, I'm sorry, but a real, genuine effort to understand the impact of his actions and become a better person. Whether that's enough for every reader to forgive him, well, that's subjective, of course. But it's clear that Maz isn't shying away from the issue.
That's good to hear. It seems like she's really tackling some tough topics without sacrificing the character development or the romantic tension.
Exactly. And A Court of Mist and Fury takes the story beyond just the romance. We get introduced to a whole new cast of characters, Rysand's inner circle, and they each have their own unique personalities and backstories. We delve deeper into the politics of Prythian, and there's this looming threat of war that adds a whole other layer of complexity. It's so much more than just a love story.
Yeah, I've heard it compared to other popular series like Throne of Glass and even Game of Thrones, in terms of world building and political intrigue.
I think those comparisons are spot on. Maz has created this rich, layered world with its own history, mythology, complex power dynamics. And just like those other series, A Court of Mist and Fury doesn't shy away from violence, betrayal, tough choices. It's a world where actions have consequences, and even the most powerful characters can be vulnerable.
And I'm really intrigued. It sounds like Maz really leveled up her writing in this sequel.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Some readers find her style a bit over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, all those flowery descriptions, the constant snarling, and the very dramatic dialogue. Does that ever get in the way of the story?
You know, Maz's writing style, it's not for everyone. It can be quite lyrical and intense, very focused on emotional expression, and yeah, some people might find that a bit much. But for a lot of readers, that's part of the appeal. It pulls you in, it immerses you in the character's emotions, and creates a truly captivating experience. And the snarling, well, maybe it's a little repetitive, but it does add to that primal wildness of the Fey world.
True. It's like they're always on edge. Their animalistic side is always right there, simmering beneath the surface.
Yeah.
It definitely creates tension, and it makes things unpredictable.
But practically speaking, this is a big book. Is it worth the commitment?
If you're looking for a quick light read, then probably not. But if you're willing to invest the time, A Court of Mist and Fury will reward you. It's the kind of story that stays with you long after you finish. It makes you think about love, loyalty, the choices we make when we're faced with impossible challenges. So we've talked about the romance, the action, the world building, even the writing style. But at the end of the day, the question is A Court of Mist and Fury worth your time? So for someone who's on the fence, trying to decide, should I commit to this beast of a book? What's the final verdict?
Look, if you loved the world of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but you were left wanting more depth, more complexity, a heroine who really comes into her own, then A Court of Mist and Fury will absolutely blow you away. It's darker, yeah, it's sexier, there's tons more action, but it also explores themes of healing, self-discovery, and the power of found family.
You mentioned found family. That seems to be a recurring theme in Moss's books.
Oh, it's definitely a key element here. Feyre finds this true sense of belonging with Rhysand in his inner circle. They accept her flaws, they support her ambitions, they challenge her to grow. It's such a powerful message about finding your people, the ones who see you and love you for who you truly are.
That definitely resonates with people, especially those who maybe haven't found their tribe in real life. It gives you hope, that feeling of someday finding where you belong.
Absolutely. And that sense of hope, it's woven through the entire story. Even in the midst of all the darkness and the conflict, it's about finding light in the most unexpected places, strength and vulnerability, and the courage to fight for what you believe in, even when the odds are completely stacked against you.
We've talked about the romance, the action, the world building, but what's the core message here? What do you think Moz wants readers to take away from this book?
At its heart, A Court of Mist and Fury is a story about breaking free from expectations and embracing your full potential. It's about finding the courage to walk away from relationships, situations, even beliefs that no longer serve you. It's about reclaiming your voice, your power, choosing your own path, even if it means going against the grain.
That is so powerful. And it's relevant to everyone, no matter who you are or where you come from. We've all felt trapped at some point.
Right.
Maybe it's a job, a relationship, even our own limiting beliefs. But this book reminds us that we have the power to break free and create a life that's truly authentic to who we are.
Exactly. It's realizing that you are not defined by your past, your mistakes, or the labels that other people try to put on you. You have the power to choose who you want to be and to create a future that aligns with your values and your dreams.
So for those listeners who are still on the fence about diving into this massive fantasy novel, what's the one thing you would say to convince them to give A Court of Mist and Fury a shot?
This book is an experience. It's a journey that will make you feel so deeply, think critically, and question everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, the power you have inside yourself. If you're ready for a story that will challenge you, captivate you, and leave you breathless, then A Court of Mist and Fury is the book for you.
I love it. A powerful endorsement. So have you taken the plunge into A Court of Mist and Fury? Did it live up to the hype? Did you fall head over heels for Rhysand? Let us know. And get ready, because the adventure continues in A Court of Wings and Ruin. That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.